For my presentation, I'm going to discuss the theory of affordances. As defined originally by James J. Gibson way back in the 1970s, affordances are the possible actions between an object and an individual. A doorknob is one of the most used examples, as it affords a twisting motion. Gibson's theory states that whether or not the individual recognizes the possibility of that action is irrelevant, the affordance is still present. A lot of basic engineering elements have strong affordances. For example, when you see a button, you want to push it. When you see a teacup, you lift it using the handle. When you see a switch, you want to flip it. A car door handle affords to be held and lifted. Badly designed artifacts can confuse the user into performing actions contrary to their intentional goals. Here, the door has handles, but it is supposed to be pushed, so the handles in this case are bad affordances, as form does not follow the function. In another example, a stove top, the knobs are not conveying the relevant pairing to the burner. The arrangement of knobs controlling the stove burners should match the arrangement of the burners themselves. Norman defines an affordance as something of both actual and perceived properties. This view is in conflict with Gibson's idea of an affordance. Gibson defines affordance as an interaction between environment and its organisms. It exists relative to the actions or capabilities of a particular actor. Its existence is independent of an actor's ability to perceive it. It also does not change if the needs or goals of the user actor change. According to Norman, an affordance provides obvious clues to operation of things. It is perceived as an actual properties of an object. Also, in Norman's idea of affordance, design of an object may support its intended use. It can be independent of the experience knowledge of the actor or the user. An affordance can also make an action easy or difficult. Three types of affordance discussed in this presentation are perceived affordances, hidden affordances, and false affordances. Perceived affordance is the quality of an object that suggests how it might be used. Going back to our doorknob example, it's an object whose form communicates how the end user should interact with it. If designed effectively, the user will instinctively know whether to push, pull, or twist the doorknob. Another example of a pencil sharpener has affordances in the form of slots, which are used for inserting the pencil, and the handle is for turning. Hidden affordance is when an object has affordances that are not so obvious. For instance, simply looking at a beer bottle, you won't be able to tell that you can use it to open another beer bottle. In the case of Tesla's design of door handles, it may not be obvious to the user that the handle needs to be pushed in order to be exposed to be held. False affordance is when there is a perceived affordance but no result happens from the possible action. For example, on a door, if there is a handle, the user immediately grabs it and pulls it. But it doesn't work because it is designed to be pushed. So affordance is still there. You are free to pull the handle as much as you want, but nothing happens. So there is no function. The handle is, however, labeled, which may eventually aid the user to push the door. The handle here serves as a false affordance because it conflicts the user into pulling the door instead of pushing it. Affordances in traditional design are things built to be naturally and physiologically intuitive. For example, a teacup has handles, and without being taught, you grasp the handles in order to lift it. So the affordance for the teacup would be the handle with enough room for your fingers to fit in order for it to be grasped. In the example of gaming consoles, the gaming controller in PS4 is specifically designed to aid gamers in naturally putting their hands on the right place in order to play games based on moving, looking, and shooting simultaneously in 3D games. The shoulder buttons on these controllers have evolved to make the gamers to rest their fingers and hold the controller from the sides while using the buttons in the middle as joysticks for movements. The thumbtacks have also evolved to be curved in, then bowed out in order to be seen as natural place to rest your thumbs. All these examples of how a well-designed affordance can help an individual to have a better user experience. Perceived affordance is particularly relevant in interface design as well. A search button on a web page affords the user to find relevant information by clicking it. The cross on a red-shaped square conveys that clicking it will close the window. An affordance is an object that shape suggests its use. Skeuomorphism also represents perceived affordances. It fits with our natural interpretation of objects but in a digital world. Skeuomorphism is where an object in software mimics its real world counterpart. The trash can is perhaps one of the most recognizable skeuomorphic objects included in Apple desktop design. The user immediately gets to know that the trash can contains files that may no longer be needed, and deleted files go to this trash, like in real life where unwanted objects are discarded in a trash can. In HCI, affordances can be used to design interfaces and artifacts that help users have better experiences with their virtual environments. Badly designed affordances have the potential to influence the user negatively, and if the behaviors of the users result in events that inaccurately affect their activities. Designers need to follow an approach where their users are able to develop an accurate view of the interface so they can instantly predict the effects of their actions and interactions while using a system.